true story of Waverly Hills Sanatorium. Years ago, during a time when tuberculosis ravaged many lives in America, Waverly Hills Sanatorium in Kentucky became a refuge for patients. Initially built with the purpose of care and treatment, it quickly transformed into one of the most haunted places in the world. It is estimated that thousands of patients died in this hospital, leaving behind traces of their presence. The hospital boasted multiple floors and underground tunnels used to transport corpses away from the sight of the patients. Many claimed they could still hear the footsteps, cries, and even screams of the restless souls wandering the cold and dark halls. As time went on, the hospital became abandoned, but those who dared to step inside shared chilling tales of their encounters. From shadows seen in the dark to inexplicable sounds, it became a place of horror. One dark and stormy night, a group of ghost hunters decided to explore Waverly Hills Sanatorium. Filled with mixed feelings of excitement and fear, they approached the eerie structure. Among them was a girl named Alyssa, who had always been fascinated by horror stories and longed to experience the mysterious world up close. Accompanied by her 3 friends, David, Mike, and Sarah, she entered the hospital. As they stepped inside, an immediate chill and sense of isolation enveloped them. The beams of their flashlights illuminated the filthy walls covered in mold, while strange shadows danced in the corners of the room, adding to the terror of the hospital. Indistinct whispers and faint sounds echoed throughout the building, as if the spirits were conversing among themselves. Alyssa, brimming with excitement, suggested they head to the 5th floor, where it was said the spirit of a girl named Mary still roamed. As they ascended, each of them felt a watchful presence following them. Suddenly, David exclaimed, "I feel like someone is behind me." This declaration prompted them to quickly turn around, their eyes filled with fear. Upon reaching the 5th floor, the air felt inexplicably colder and heavier. Alyssa decided to venture into the room where Mary was rumored to have died. Inside, the walls bore the marks and signs of the lives once lived within. She approached a window and gazed into the darkness outside, when suddenly, the sound of an old telephone ringing echoed from a corner of the room. The sound made her heart race, filling her with dread. Alyssa signaled to her friends that they heard the ringing. David, feeling a surge of fear, urged, "We need to get out of here. This place doesn't feel right." But Alyssa, driven by her curiosity to uncover the truth, decided to investigate the source of the sound. She cautiously moved towards the corner of the room, her heart pounding. Suddenly, as she approached the old door, she felt a cold breeze sweeping through, pushing her back. Sarah, noticing this, asked, "Alyssa, do you really want to keep going?" With determination, Alyssa replied, "I have to find out what's happening." After much effort, Alyssa opened the door and was met with a horrifying sight. The room was dark, and they could clearly see a shadow standing in the corner. The shadow slowly moved closer to them, and they felt the air in the room become thick and suffocating. David, unable to contain his fear any longer, shouted, "Run!" But before anyone could react, the shadow distinctly transformed into the figure of a young girl in a white dress. The girl looked at them with large, dark eyes, and her wailing voice echoed, "Why have you come?" They all stared in silence, frozen in place. Alyssa, with a mixture of courage and curiosity, stepped forward and said, "We just wanted to know who you are." The spirit girl, without uttering a word, slowly pointed towards the exit. This gesture was both terrifying and mysterious. With a heart full of fear and curiosity, Alyssa gazed at the spirit girl. As the shadows in the room continued to sway, she suddenly felt a force pulling her forward. David and Sarah quickly stepped back, while Mike stood still, frozen in fear. Despite all the dread in her heart, Alyssa decided to move closer to the girl. "I just want to understand what happened to you," Alyssa said, her voice trembling. The girl, with a sorrowful and pained expression, replied, "This place is a source of my pain and suffering. I am trapped here, just like many others." Meanwhile, indistinct sounds from afar seemed to echo the cries of patients from long ago. As the girl slowly moved closer to Alyssa, she suddenly turned toward David, staring at him with her eyes. "Why did you come? Are you here to help or just to be frightened?" David, unable to endure it any longer, dashed towards the door, shouting, "We have to leave." But when he opened the door, he found it inexplicably locked and would not budge. This was the climax of fear in the story. The shadows gradually solidified, and the screams of the lost souls echoed throughout the room. Alyssa, feeling a deep sense of empathy for the girl, moved closer and said, "We want to help you. We want to understand what has happened to you." The girl softly replied, "You must uncover the secrets of this place. Only then can you be free." Suddenly, a loud crashing sound echoed, and the walls of the room trembled. This tremor caused the lights to flicker ominously, and the surrounding shadows began to writhe violently. As the shadows intensified and the cries grew louder, Alyssa and her friends found themselves engulfed in darkness. Their hearts raced as they felt they could lose their lives at any moment. With all her strength, Alyssa tried to maintain her courage amid the terror. She recalled the girl's words about uncovering the truth. Alyssa shouted, "We understand this place is full of pain and suffering, but we didn't come here to be afraid. We want to help." In that moment, a mysterious silence enveloped the air, and the shadows suddenly ceased their movement. The spirit girl slowly turned toward Alyssa, wiping away her tears. "You can be free, if you choose." In that instant, the walls and shadows began to fade away, and they felt a tremendous force leaving the room. The sound of the telephone rang out again, but this time it was a sound of hope. With newfound faith, Alyssa shouted loudly, "We don't want to forget you." "What was your name?" The girl replied, "Mary. I just wanted someone to hear my voice." With those words, a light shone in the room, and the girl gradually faded away, as if she had finally found peace. In the end, the door to the room slowly creaked open, and the group hurriedly exited the hospital. As they rushed towards the exit, they felt the heavy air and darkness dissipating behind them. Alyssa looked at her friends and said, "We were here, and we heard her voice." This place held a truth.
Don't forget, like and subscribe for more stories. And don't be spellbound.